The words blurred beneath my fingertips as I traced them again, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might crack another rib. Someone had carved a message into the underside of my cast where no one else would see it. This was no accident. Get out now. My hands shook as I angled my arm toward the fluorescent hospital lights, squinting at the cramped handwriting that had been hidden there for 3 days. 3 entire days I'd been lying in this bed, telling myself I was just a clumsy old woman who missed a step. But nurses don't write warnings like this unless they know something. Unless they've seen something. The morphine fog lifted just enough for pure terror to flood in. Someone had pushed me down those stairs. Someone wanted me dead. And I was about to go home with them. My name is Dorothy Brennan. I'm 72 years old, and until last Tuesday, I thought the most dangerous thing in my life was forgetting to take my blood pressure medication. I raised 3 kids as a single mother after my husband died young, worked double shifts at the textile factory for 30 years, and retired to a quiet life in my son's house in Columbus, Ohio. I baked cookies on Sundays. I watched game shows. I minded my own business. That was my mistake. The door handle turned and I shoved my casted arm under the blanket so fast pain screamed through my shoulder. A nurse I'd never seen before stepped in, young, maybe 30, with dark eyes that seemed to look right through me. She didn't speak. Just walked to my forebag, checked something, then leaned close like she was adjusting my pillow. Her breath was warm against my ear. "You read it," she whispered. Not a question. A statement. I managed the smallest nod, my throat too tight for words. "Your daughter-in-law made a phone call yesterday. Right outside this room. I heard every word." She straightened up, her voice returning to normal volume as footsteps echoed in the hallway. "Make sure you rest, Mrs. Brennan. You'll need your strength for going home tomorrow." But her eyes told a different story. Her eyes were screaming the same thing her pen had written. Run. Hey everyone, if you're already hooked by Dorothy's story, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already because this story gets so much darker. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love knowing who's out there listening. Now, let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. 3 days earlier, my life looked pretty good on paper. I lived in a nice split-level house with my son Marcus and his wife Vanessa. They'd insisted I move in 2 years ago after I had that dizzy spell at the grocery store. "Mom, you can't live alone anymore," Marcus had said, his face creased with worry that made him look just like his father. "We have plenty of room. It'll be good for everyone." And it was good. At first. Marcus worked long hours as an engineer, leaving before sunrise and coming home after dark. Vanessa was a substitute teacher, home by 3 most days. She'd greet me with a smile, ask about my day. Sometimes we'd watch those cooking shows together while she chopped vegetables for dinner. She called me Mom. With a sweetness that felt genuine. I helped where I could, folding laundry, organizing the pantry, trying not to be a burden. I paid them rent from my Social Security check even though Marcus protested. $600 a month seemed fair. But little things started changing about 4 months ago. Vanessa's smiles became tighter, more like someone posing for a photo than actually happy. She'd sigh when I asked questions. She'd stare at her phone during dinner, thumbs flying, barely touching her food. Marcus didn't seem to notice. He was drowning in some big project at work, coming home exhausted, falling asleep in front of the television most nights. I told myself I was imagining things. That I was just a paranoid old woman who'd watched too many Dateline episodes. Vanessa was probably stressed about work. Marriage has rough patches. It wasn't my place to interfere. The basement stairs were steep. 14 steps down to the laundry room, concrete floor at the bottom. I'd gone up and down them 100 times without incident. But that morning, something felt different. It was exactly 8:43 when I headed downstairs with my basket of towels. I remember because I'd just checked the kitchen clock, timing it so I'd be done before my shows started at 9. Marcus had already left for work. Vanessa was in the shower upstairs, water running loud through the old pipes. The basement door stood open, lights off below. Strange. I always turned them on first. My hand reached for the switch when I heard it. A floorboard creaking behind me. Close. Too close. Let me help you with that, Mom. Vanessa's voice, but wrong somehow. Flat. Empty. I turned halfway, basket clutched to my chest, and that's when I saw her face. No smile. No warmth. Just cold calculation, like she was working out a math problem. Her hair was wet, but she was fully dressed. The shower was still running upstairs. She hadn't been in it. She'd been waiting. I've got it, sweetie, I said, my grandmother instincts kicking in even as my brain screamed warnings. You go get ready for work. I'm not going in today. Her hand landed on my shoulder, fingers digging in through my cardigan. Let me carry that for you. Those stairs are so dangerous. Everything slowed down. I felt the pressure of her palm. Felt the shift in her weight. Felt the exact moment she stopped pretending. The push wasn't dramatic like in the movies. Just a simple, firm shove between my shoulder blades. But it was enough. My feet tangled in the bath mat someone had left at the top of the stairs. The basket flew from my hands. White towels tumbled through the air like doves. And then I was falling. My shoulder hit the railing. My hip slammed concrete steps. The world spun in flashes of brown wood and gray stone and fluorescent light. I tried to catch myself, but my hands just scraped uselessly against the wall. The final impact punched every bit of air from my lungs. My head cracked against the floor and the basement exploded into stars, then static, then nothing. I don't know how long I was out. Could have been seconds or minutes. When my eyes opened, the pain was everywhere, a living thing wrapped around my bones. I couldn't move my left arm. Couldn't breathe without fire shooting through my ribs. Couldn't do anything but stare up at the rectangle of light at the top of the stairs. Where Vanessa stood, phone already pressed to her ear, her voice high and panicked and perfectly performed. 911? Oh my God, my mother-in-law just fell down the stairs. Please hurry, there's blood, I think she's dying. She was good. So good. The tears in her voice sounded absolutely real. But in that moment, as darkness pulled me under again, I saw her face. And she was smiling. I woke up to beeping machines and Marcus's hand wrapped around mine. His eyes were red-rimmed, swollen from crying. A doctor stood at the foot of my bed, talking about fractures and contusions and how lucky I was to be alive. Lucky. That's what everyone kept saying. 3 broken ribs, fractured ulna and radius in your left arm, severe concussion, bruised spine. The doctor recited like he was reading a grocery list. You're going to be in significant pain for a while, Mrs. Brennan. But you'll heal. Another few inches and that head injury could have been fatal. Marcus squeezed my hand tighter. Mom, what happened? Vanessa said you were carrying too much. She told you to wait for help. My mouth opened but no words came out. Not because I couldn't speak, but because of what I saw over Marcus's shoulder. Vanessa stood in the doorway, her face arranged in perfect concern, but her eyes were locked on mine. And those eyes were sending a clear message. Who's going to believe you? I slipped, I heard myself say. The lie tasted like copper, like the blood I'd swallowed on that basement floor. Just clumsy. Old age catching up with me. Vanessa's shoulders relaxed. She rushed forward, wrapped her arms around Marcus. Oh, thank God you're okay, Mom. I was so scared. I heard the crash and ran downstairs and you were just lying there, so still, I thought. Her voice cracked perfectly on cue. She was hugging my son while staring at me, daring me, challenging me. The morphine made everything fuzzy, but one thought cut through clear as glass. If I accused her now, with no proof, nothing but the word of a confused old woman with a head injury against a tearful young wife, I'd lose. Marcus would think I was delusional. They'd probably put me in a nursing home for my own safety. She'd win. So I smiled. Thanked her for calling the ambulance. Played the grateful, addled grandmother. Over the next 2 days, Vanessa visited every afternoon. She brought flowers, magazines, chocolate pudding from the cafeteria. She held my good hand and told me how much they missed me at home. How Marcus had cleared out the guest room downstairs so I wouldn't have to deal with stairs anymore. How she'd already ordered a shower chair and grab bars for the bathroom. We're going to take such good care of you, she whispered, leaning close like we were sharing secrets. "You'll be completely dependent on us for weeks. Maybe months. Won't that be nice?" The way she said dependent made my skin crawl. Are you enjoying this story so far? If you want to see how Dorothy gets out of this nightmare, make sure you're subscribed and that like button is turned on. This next part is going to blow your mind. On day 3, a different nurse came in for the night shift. She was younger than the others, with dark curly hair pulled back in a ponytail and eyes that actually looked at me like I was a person, not just a patient number. Her name tag read Delilah Moss. She worked quietly, checking vitals, adjusting my four, helping me shift positions when my back cramped up. Professional. Efficient. Nothing remarkable. Until Vanessa showed up for evening visiting hours. "I'll just be outside if you need anything," Delilah said, but she didn't leave. Not really. Through the crack in the door, I could see her at the nurse's station directly across from my room, doing paperwork. Close enough to hear. Vanessa settled into the chair beside my bed, scrolling through her phone. For 15 minutes, we sat in silence. Then her phone rang. She glanced at the screen at me, then stood abruptly. "I need to take this. Work stuff. I'll be right back." She stepped into the hallway, her voice dropping low. But hospital hallways carry sound like echo chambers. And Delilah was listening. "No, I can't talk long, she might hear," Vanessa hissed. "I'm telling you, it's taking too long. She's healing faster than expected. The doctor says she could be fully mobile in 6 weeks. No, we need that money now. The creditors are calling every day. I know what we agreed, but maybe we need to think about something more permanent." "Yes, I mean exactly that. Make it look like complications. Infection. Blood clot. Old people die in hospitals all the time. Well, figure it out." I didn't push that old bat down the stairs just to wait around for her to recover and ruin everything. My heart stopped. Actually stopped. In that moment, every suspicious thought I'd tried to talk myself out of crystallized into horrifying truth. The open door. Her wet hair but dry clothes. The smile as I fell. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake. This was attempted murder. And she wasn't done trying. Vanessa's footsteps clicked back toward my room. I closed my eyes, forced my breathing to stay slow and even, prayed my heart rate monitor wouldn't give me away. She stood over my bed for a long moment, and I felt her stare like cold fingers on my skin. "Sleep well, Mom. She said softly. "Tomorrow you come home." After she left, I lay there shaking, tears sliding down into my ears. I was trapped. I had no proof. No one who would believe me. I'd survived one murder attempt, and now I had to go home with my would-be killer and pretend everything was fine. The door opened. Delilah slipped in, moved to my bedside, and did something that probably violated every hospital protocol in existence. She picked up a pen and started writing on the underside of my cast, where only I would see it when I looked down. Her hand moved quickly, letters scratching into the plaster. "This was no accident. Get out now." She set the pen down and met my eyes. I saw recognition there. Understanding. She'd heard everything too. "Your discharge papers are being processed," she said in a normal voice, loud enough to carry. Then, barely breathing the words, "Check under your pillow when I leave. Stay alive. I'm going to help you." She walked out without another word. With my good hand, I felt beneath the pillow and found a small piece of paper folded tight. I opened it with trembling fingers. The note had a phone number and 6 words, "Call me when you're alone. D." For the first time in 3 days, I felt something other than fear. I felt a sliver of hope. Because somewhere in this nightmare, an angel in scrubs had decided I was worth saving. But first, I had to survive going home. Marcus drove me home the next morning, Vanessa in the passenger seat, me in the back like a child. Every bump in the road sent lightning through my ribs. The new downstairs bedroom was ready, just like she'd promised. Hospital bed. Commode chair. Bell to ring if I needed help. It looked like care. It felt like a cage. "I took a leave of absence from work," Vanessa announced, fluffing pillows behind my back. "So I can be here 24/7. You won't have to lift a finger, Mom. Marcus beamed at her like she'd just offered to donate a kidney. You're amazing, babe. Mom, isn't she amazing? Amazing, I echoed, the word tasting like poison. For 2 days, I played my part perfectly. The confused, grateful invalid. I let Vanessa help me to the bathroom. Let her bring meals on a tray. Let her spoon-feed me soup when I claimed my good hand was too shaky. I shuffled around like someone twice my age, wincing and sighing. She needed to think I was helpless. Broken. But when she left the room, I practiced. Tested my strength. My broken arm was useless, casted from fingers to elbow, but my legs worked fine. My mind was sharp. And I was angry. Anger is a powerful medicine. On the third night, Marcus worked late. Vanessa made dinner, humming in the kitchen like she didn't have murder on her mind. I heard cabinet doors opening and closing. The clink of dishes. Then her footsteps approaching my room. I made your favorite, she sang out, carrying a tray with a steaming mug. Chamomile tea with honey. Help you sleep. The mug was pale blue ceramic, the kind that hides color. I watched steam curl up from the surface and remembered her phone conversation. Make it look like complications. Something in that tea wanted me dead. You're so thoughtful, I said, accepting the tray with my good hand. But could you grab my reading glasses from upstairs? I want to look at those magazines you brought. She hesitated. For just a second, calculation flickered across her face. Then the mask slipped back on. Of course. Drink that while it's hot. Doctor's orders, remember? You need rest. The moment she disappeared up the stairs, I dumped the entire mug into the potted plant on my nightstand. Refilled it with water from my bedside pitcher. When she returned, I was taking delicate sips, the mug already half empty. Good girl, she said, and the condescension in those words made me want to scream. Finish it all. You'll sleep like a baby. I did. I drained every drop of tap water while she watched. She took the empty mug with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, patted my head like I was a dog, and left. 20 minutes later, I heard her on the phone again, voice muffled through the walls but tone unmistakable. Excited. Satisfied. She thought it was done. She thought by morning, I'd be cold. Instead, I waited until the house went silent. Until I heard Marcus's snoring from upstairs, Vanessa's lighter breathing beside him. Then I grabbed the cell phone I'd hidden under my mattress, the one Marcus thought he'd lost last month. And I called the number from Delilah's note. She answered on the first ring. Dorothy. I need help. My voice cracked. She just tried to poison me. She's going to keep trying until I'm dead. I know, Delilah whispered. That's why we're going to stop her. But we need proof. Real proof. Can you do something for me? Can you be brave a little longer? What she asked me to do terrified me. But the alternative was dying in my sleep, and that terrified me more. So I said yes. The next morning, I played dead. Not literally, but close. I stayed in bed, wouldn't eat, barely responded when Marcus checked on me before work. She's just tired, Vanessa assured him, rubbing his shoulders. Recovery is exhausting. I'll watch her closely, don't worry. The second his car pulled out of the driveway, her concerned expression vanished. She stood in my doorway, studying me with cold assessment. Not feeling well, Mom. Dizzy, I mumbled. Nauseous. Everything hurts. She stepped closer. Maybe that fall did more damage than the doctors thought. Internal bleeding. Brain swelling. These things can happen days later, you know. Maybe I should call 911. The threat was clear. She'd call an ambulance, tell them I'd taken a turn, and finish what she started in the hospital where it would look natural. Where Delilah couldn't protect me. No hospitals, I begged, genuine fear making my voice shake. Please. I just need rest. She smiled. Of course. Whatever you need. That afternoon, Delilah arrived. She'd called ahead, told Vanessa she was doing a home health check, standard procedure for patients discharged with serious injuries. Vanessa couldn't refuse without looking suspicious. I need to examine Mrs. Brennan privately, Delilah said, all professional courtesy. Medical privacy laws. I'm sure you understand. Vanessa's jaw tightened, but she nodded, closed the door behind her. The second we were alone, Delilah moved fast. She pulled a tiny recording device from her medical bag, no bigger than a button, and tucked it into the flower arrangement on my nightstand. This will pick up everything said in this room, she whispered. She's going to confess. I know she is. People like her, they can't help bragging once they think they've won. How do you know? I asked. Her eyes went dark. Because someone like her killed my grandmother 3 years ago. Married my uncle, isolated her, stole everything, then made it look like she fell. By the time we figured it out, the money was gone and there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute. I became a nurse so I could spot the signs. So I could save people like you. She gripped my hand. But we have to make her think she's winning. Can you do that? I thought about all the times I'd backed down from confrontation in my life. Let people walk over me because it was easier. Stayed quiet to keep the peace. Those days were done. Tell me what to do. The plan was risky. Delilah gave me a pill, something that would make my pulse slow, my breathing shallow, but wouldn't actually hurt me. It'll last about an hour, she explained. Long enough for her to think you're dying. Long enough for her to say something incriminating. She also gave me a panic button, disguised as a pager on my waistband. You press this, I call the police. They're already on standby. My boyfriend's a detective, he's been waiting for a case like this. Before she left, she examined me loudly for Vanessa's benefit, announcing I seemed stable but needed close monitoring. The second the front door closed, Vanessa appeared in my doorway. Well? She demanded. She says I'm fine, I lied. Gave me some pills for the pain. Take them, Vanessa ordered, holding out a glass of water and 2 tablets I didn't recognize. Not the ones Delilah had given me. Doctor's orders. This was it. The moment of truth. I palmed the pills, pretended to swallow, held the water in my mouth until she looked away. Spit them into the tissue I'd prepared. Then I took Delilah's pill, the one that would make me look like I was dying. 20 minutes later, my vision started to blur. My heartbeat slowed to a crawl. I slumped in the bed, breathing going shallow, exactly like Delilah promised. Through half-closed eyes, I watched Vanessa check my pulse. Watched her face transform from concerned to triumphant. Finally, she breathed. Finally, you stupid old woman. She pulled out her phone, dialed. It's done. She took the pills. Give it another hour and I'll call 911, say she passed in her sleep. Peaceful. No autopsy needed for someone her age with recent injuries. Yes, the life insurance pays out immediately. $500,000. Plus the house once Marcus sells it. We'll be clear of debt and living in Florida by Christmas. I know, baby. I know it took longer than planned. But this time tomorrow we're rich. Baby. She wasn't talking to a creditor. She was talking to a lover. Someone who'd been in on this from the start. She hung up and leaned over me, her breath hot on my face. You should have just died in that basement, she hissed. Would have been faster. But you had to be tough, didn't you? Had to survive. Well, congratulations, Dorothy. You survived just long enough to die in your sleep like every other forgotten old lady. And Marcus will never know his sweet wife is a killer. My finger found the panic button. I pressed it. The sirens arrived in under 3 minutes. Vanessa's face went white as police crashed through the front door, Delilah right behind them. She lunged for the flower arrangement, tried to grab the recording device, but a female officer caught her wrist. Vanessa Brennan, you're under arrest for attempted murder. This is insane. Vanessa shrieked, struggling. She's dying. I was trying to help her. Someone call an ambulance. I'm fine, I said, sitting up slowly as the medication wore off. My voice was steady now. Strong. Better than I've been in months, actually. Delilah rushed to my side, checking my vitals, giving me something to counter the last effects of the pill. You did it, she whispered. You were so brave. A detective, tall with gray at his temples, held up the recording device. "We got every word, Mrs. Brennan. The confession. The phone call to her accomplice. We've already got units heading to pick him up." Who? I had to know. Who was she talking to? Her boyfriend. Name's Ryan Shaw. Apparently they've been together for 8 months, planning this whole thing. The marriage to your son was just access. You were the real target. That life insurance policy Marcus took out on you 2 years ago when you moved in? Vanessa's the beneficiary. He never changed it after the automatic designation. She's been waiting for the right moment. The front door opened and Marcus walked in, home early, his face confused. Then he saw the police. Saw Vanessa in handcuffs. Saw me sitting up, alive, his mother who was supposed to be dying. "What's happening?" His voice broke. "Mom? Vanessa?" I watched my son's world crumble as the detective explained. Watched him realize the woman he loved had married him to murder his mother. Watched him sink to his knees, hands covering his face, sobs tearing from his chest. Vanessa didn't apologize. Didn't beg. She just stared at me with pure hatred as they led her away. "You're supposed to be dead," she spat. "You're just a useless old woman. You're supposed to be dead." "But I'm not," I said quietly. "And you are going to prison." After they took her away, after the police collected evidence and statements, after the chaos finally settled, Marcus sat beside my bed and cried. Really cried, like he hadn't since his father died 40 years ago. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I brought her into our home. I didn't see it. I should have protected you." I took his hand, the way I had when he was small and afraid of thunderstorms. "You didn't know." She was good at pretending. They always are. "How did you know? How did you figure it out?" "A nurse wrote me a warning," I said. "And I finally learned to trust my instincts. To believe I was worth saving." That night, Delilah came by after her shift, out of uniform, just a young woman with kind eyes who'd saved my life. We sat in the kitchen, drinking real chamomile tea, and she told me about her grandmother. About the guilt she carried for not seeing the signs sooner. About how she'd promised herself she'd never let it happen again. "You kept that promise," I said. "You saved me." She shook her head. "You saved yourself. I just gave you the tools. You did the hard part. You survived." But there was still one piece that didn't fit. One question that haunted me. How did you know to listen that night? Outside my hospital room. Delilah's expression shifted, something almost guilty crossing her face. "I didn't just happen to be there, Dorothy. I requested your case specifically." My stomach dropped. "What?" "I've been tracking cases like yours for 2 years. Older women, suspicious accidents, younger relatives who inherit. Your fall fit the pattern. And when I ran a background check on Vanessa, I found something. She worked as a caregiver 5 years ago. Her patient died from a fall down the stairs. It was ruled accidental, but she'd done this before." The tea turned bitter on my tongue. "How many?" "We don't know yet. But the police are looking into it now. Because of you. Because you were brave enough to fight back." The trial took 8 months. Marcus filed for divorce immediately, cut off all contact with Vanessa except through lawyers. He went to therapy. So did I. We learned how to talk again, really talk, about the things we'd avoided for years. Vanessa pleaded not guilty, claimed I was a confused old woman who'd fabricated everything. But the recording was clear. The evidence was overwhelming. And when Ryan Shaw, her boyfriend, took a plea deal and testified against her, describing how they'd planned it all, how she'd married Marcus specifically to access me, how this wasn't the first time she'd done this, the jury took less than 2 hours to convict. 25 years to life. She'd be 70 before she was eligible for parole. The day of sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and listened to the judge call her a predator, a threat to society's most vulnerable. Vanessa never looked at me once. Just stared straight ahead, her face blank, like she'd already left her body behind. But before they led her away, she turned. Our eyes met. And I saw something there that made me shiver. Not remorse. Not defeat. Just cold, calculating assessment. Like she was filing away mistakes for next time. I pray there never is a next time. For anyone. Marcus sold the house. Too many bad memories. We found a small apartment complex for seniors where I have my own place, my own space, but he's just 10 minutes away. We have dinner twice a week. He's seeing someone new, a teacher who makes him laugh. He's careful now. We both are. Delilah became more than my nurse. She became my friend. We meet for coffee every Sunday, and she tells me about other cases she's working on. Other grandmothers she's helping. We've become a team, in a way. She watches for the signs, and I share my story with anyone who'll listen. Because that's what haunts me most. Not that Vanessa tried to kill me, but that she'd done it before. That somewhere, there were other sons like Marcus who never knew. Other families destroyed. Other women who died alone, their murders disguised as accidents. How many do you think? I asked Delilah one Sunday, stirring sugar into my coffee. How many people has she killed? Delilah's face went dark. The police confirmed 3 others. Probably more they can't prove. She was smart. Patient. Moved to different states, changed her appearance slightly, targeted isolated elderly people with money and trusting families. And she would have gotten away with mine if you hadn't been there. If you hadn't fought back, Delilah corrected. I gave you information. You chose to act on it. She was right. For the first time in my 72 years, I'd refused to be a victim. I'd refused to stay quiet. And that choice saved my life. A year after the trial, something unexpected happened. I got a letter from a woman in Minnesota. Her mother had died 2 years ago in a fall down the stairs. The woman who'd been caring for her had married into the family, seemed perfect, then disappeared right after the funeral with the inheritance. The police had ruled it accidental. But now, after seeing Vanessa's trial on the news, this woman recognized her. Different hair, different name, same face. I'm reopening my mother's case, the letter said. Because of you. Because you showed me it's never too late to fight for the truth. Thank you for being brave enough to speak up. I cried reading that letter. Cried because her mother was gone, beyond saving. But cried too because maybe my nightmare could prevent someone else's. That's when I knew what I needed to do next. It's been 18 months since Vanessa pushed me down those stairs. I'm 73 now, and my arm healed crooked, but it works. The ribs hurt when it rains. I walk with a cane on bad days. But I'm alive. And I'm not quiet anymore. I started a support group for elder abuse survivors. We meet twice a month in the community center, 15 of us now, ranging from 65 to 92. We share our stories. We learn the warning signs. We practice saying no, setting boundaries, trusting our instincts. The things I never learned growing up in a generation that taught women, especially older women, to be accommodating above all else. Delilah helps run it. So does a lawyer who works pro bono for elderly victims. We've helped 4 people escape dangerous situations in the last year. For people who might have ended up like me, or worse. Marcus comes sometimes, speaks about what it's like from the family perspective. How to recognize when someone is isolating your elderly relatives. How to check in meaningfully, not just surface level. He's become an advocate too, turning his pain into purpose. The local news did a story on us. Then a national morning show picked it up. My phone started ringing, emails pouring in from all over the country. People sharing their stories, asking for advice, thanking me for speaking up. I'm writing a book now, with Delilah's help. A guide for families, for elderly people, for anyone who wants to learn the warning signs of financial abuse and exploitation. The publisher says it could help thousands of people. That number feels impossible, but I hope it's true. Last week, I spoke at a nursing home, 50 seniors gathered in the activity room. I told them my story, start to finish, no sugarcoating. Told them about the push, the warning, the poison, the fight. When I finished, a woman in the back raised her hand. She was 90, maybe older, her voice shaking but determined. My grandson's new girlfriend keeps asking about my investment accounts, she said. Says she wants to help me organize my finances. But something feels wrong. Everyone says I'm paranoid. But after hearing you, I think maybe I'm not. We talked after, me and this woman whose name was Helen. I gave her the lawyer's number. Delilah's number. The number for Adult Protective Services. And I told her what I wish someone had told me sooner. Trust yourself. You've lived 90 years. You know when something's wrong. Don't let anyone make you doubt that. And don't stay silent to keep the peace. Your life is worth more than someone else's comfort. She hugged me, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for telling the truth. That's what I do now. I survive. I tell the truth. I help others do the same. Marcus asked me last month if I regret moving in with him, if I wish I'd stayed in my old apartment, independent and safe. I thought about it for a long time before answering. No, I finally said. Because if this hadn't happened to me, I never would have learned how strong I am. I never would have met Delilah. I never would have known I could fight back. And that woman in Minnesota and Helen, and all the others we've helped, they'd still be in danger. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us become the most important. He cried hearing that. But they were good tears. I'm not the same woman who carried towels down basement stairs 18 months ago. That woman was quiet, accommodating, afraid to make waves. This woman is loud. This woman trusts her instincts. This woman knows she deserves to be safe, respected, heard. Vanessa took a lot from me. My sense of security. My broken bones. My easy trust. But she also gave me something, though she never meant to. She gave me purpose. She gave me a voice. She gave me the absolute certainty that I am worth fighting for. And now I teach other people the same lesson. If you're watching this and something in your life doesn't feel right, trust that feeling. If someone is isolating you, controlling you, making you feel crazy for questioning them, you're not crazy. You're seeing clearly. Reach out. Tell someone. Fight back. Because you are worth saving. You are worth protecting. Your life matters, no matter how old you are. I learned that lesson almost too late. But I learned it. And now I'm going to spend whatever time I have left making sure other people learn it too. My name is Dorothy Brennan. I'm 73 years old. I survived a murder attempt. And I'm not done living yet. If this story touched you, if it made you think differently about the elderly people in your life, please leave a comment below. Share this video. Tell me your thoughts. I read every single one, and your words matter to me. Maybe your story can help someone else the way Delilah's decision to help me changed everything. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And remember, you are never too old, too weak, or too unimportant to deserve safety and love. Never.